J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the July 12th, 2019 edition of the Bible Delight in the Details. Today, I'm not going to be looking at a Bible verse. I want to tell you about a great Christian that you probably have never heard of. I am enjoying so much the great courses, which I get through Audible. I'm an Audible girl. And I have this class that I'm taking through this called The Great Christians, looking at great Christians throughout all of Christian history. And I just learned about someone I want to bring to your attention. A very inspiring story. His name, Maximilian Kolbe. I believe it's spelled K-O-L-B. Maximilian was a young priest in the Catholic Church. He was a Franciscan, and he was born right after the turn of the 20th century, and he was one of the first people in the Catholic Church to really understand and harness the power of the new technology of communication of that time, mass newspapers and radio. It was the early 1930s in his native Poland, and he created and wrote for a newspaper that reached hundreds of thousands of Polish Christians. And then he started a radio station. Now, think of the early 30s. He started criticizing via newspaper and radio the Nazis to one side of his country and Stalin to the other side. When the Nazis came over the border September 1st of 1939, Maximilian Kolbe was immediately arrested and sent to Auschwitz. Now, in Auschwitz, his name was taken from him. He was Father Maximilian Kolbe. He was very erudite. He had a lot of credentials. He became a number. One of the rules at Auschwitz was that you were not allowed to do anything of a religious nature, not even pray. But Father Kolbe refused to obey that, and so he would hear confessions, he would pray with people. He even did Mass. They would take bread, little teeny weeny pieces of bread, and somehow they got some wine from somewhere, and he would do that. Well, somebody escaped from Auschwitz very early in the war. And there was a rule at Auschwitz that, oh, by the way, if you're hearing something, that's the rain on the car roof. There was a rule at Auschwitz that if anybody escaped, if a prisoner escaped, they would take 10 people at random and starve them to death. And this was to be a deterrent and to get fellow prisoners to make sure no one ever escaped. Well, 10 people were chosen, not Father Kolbe, but it was a man with the first name of Francis. He begged the Nazis, please don't kill me. I have a wife and several children. Father Kolbe asked the Nazis if he could take Francis's place because he was a celibate priest. He did not have a family of his own, and therefore he was willing to sacrifice himself. The Nazis said, sure. They threw him and 9 other people into a dungeon area at Auschwitz and did not give them any food. Every one of them died. Father Kolbe was apparently the last to die, and while he watched the others die, he prayed with them, he gave them absolution. He died relatively early in the war. Francis, the man whose place he had taken, lived through the war, and after the war was on a mission to make sure that the world knew about this great saint, this martyr, this sacrifice for himself. He was present in 1982 as the new Pope, Pope John Paul, who was himself Polish, canonized this great saint of the faith. You know, we say that we are to pick up the cross and follow after Christ. That is what Christ said to do. Can you imagine a life more obviously based on Jesus's? as Father Kolb. When necessitated, he was willing to give his life when he did not have to, as a substitute for someone else. What a glorious, glorious thing to do. And what a Christian who can actually follow through on that. I'm J. Lenora Bressler, hoping that examples of great Christians will encourage you and inspire us all to live for Christ. Have a great day.